In the life they've built for themselves in Forney, Mark and Sherry Elliott have had quite the adventure.
I went to live with my mom.
But not all of it an adventure.
It was a very dysfunctional home.
He remembers so fondly.
Extremely dysfunctional, and I leave it there.
Mark and his sister Shauna had different dads, but their mom would never really tell him.
Even last year,
who?
As my mom was on her deathbed, you know, I asked again, you know, Mom, are you sure? And she said, there is no one else it could be. But obviously my mom was still hiding something.
He can offer a smile a year after his mom's passing because of what happened next.
Begin your journey at Ancestry.com.
His wife bought him a DNA kit. They sent it in, then decided to take a small vacation.
We were literally between Houston and Galveston. I got a text.
Unusual names were showing up, ones he'd never heard before. But this one, Bewley, his older sister, somehow remembered.
Now, granted, this is the memory of a 4-year-old child. Yeah. She said, but I vaguely remember a man named Arley Bewley dating Mom.
Text messages and emails zipped back and forth across the country, and within just a few days.
And we're sitting in the hotel room for our anniversary.
8:30 that night.
And my phone rings.
Yeah.
And he said, this is Arley Bewley. You know, I'm supposed to call you. And what do you want? And I said, hold on.
Who told them, yes, he had been in Hobbs, New Mexico 52 years ago. And yes, he did date a woman named Ginger.
And he goes, well, what does Ginger have to do with this? And I said, well, I'm her son, and I'm not going to pull any punches, but I believe that you are my dad. And at that point, the phone got extremely silent. It's happy, you know, he was, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. He said, I'm an old man, oh boy.
What Arley Bewley was able to say next was that he lived in Lufkin, 3 hours southeast of Forney. And he agreed to meet.
Knock, knock, Dad. How you doing?
But this is the Arley Bewley they found, living alone, on disability, in a one-bedroom shack. Are you glad he found you?
How do I express that? It's probably the most wonderful thing that ever happened to me.
The same square chin, all that gray hair, and a paternity test proved Arley Bewley was his dad. So do you like this guy, Arley? Do you like him?
No, I don't. I love him. It's almost unbelievable. It's like a fantasy come true, really.
But now that Mark Elliott had found his dad, he simply couldn't leave him here.
And I had to work to get him out of that situation.
Which is why our next conversation was in the cab of a U-Haul truck.
Sometimes God gives you the ability to do something, and when he gives you the ability, what is your response? And if you put those two words together, you have responsibility.
Responsibility he wouldn't have to bear alone. You know, how long did it take you to jump in and say, yeah, this is something we're going to help with?
About 30 seconds.
Because Brian Wilburn at Veterans Resource and Outreach Center of Rowlett learned that Arley was a Korean War veteran. And after a few phone calls, Home Depot donated thousands in construction materials. Veterans motorcycle groups and others donated their labor. And in a few months, a one-room cabin took shape on Mark Elliott's 10 acres back in Forney.
All right, you ready to go in?
Arley came home.
Here's your house. Welcome home, Dad.
On a Friday afternoon.
When I was totally without a family, I now have one, and it's such a blessing to know that you got some kind of a family. Had it not been for him calling me, I would have never known. I thank the Lord for bringing him into my life, and I'm very proud that he did.
Arley Bewley also now proud to learn he's a grandfather, and a great-grandfather too, and that a son he never knew and a community of strangers banded together to bring him home.
That's something you want to do every day.
He served our country, and he deserves better than what he had.
There's a lot of really good people out there that want to give back to the veteran community. Thank you to them for a job well done.
Even now, my goodness, it is still so humbling.
When I say my prayer at night, my first thank you is for God for bringing me my son and his family.
I agree with there, Dad. I agree.
And agrees that the adventure begins again, this time together.
It's awesome. Now, it's awesome.
In Forney, I'm Kevin Reece. It was a Monday morning. American Airlines Flight 115 from Honolulu.
You okay?
DFW Airport Gate D27.
Very emotional day.
Intensely emotional for Sheila Curvin, her cousin Irma Flemings, and their uncle, Ulysses Cherry.
A long time coming.
A long time for someone to come home. It was the late 1940s. His name was R.B. Cherry, one of 16 Dallas brothers and sisters, but he wanted to see the world.
You know, our dad told us that we had an uncle that went off to war and never came home.
The Korean War. R.B. Cherry was just 19 years old when he became just a story to the nieces he would never get to see.
I just always knew that he was missing in action, and that was really all the information that I had.
It just brings back old memory, man. You know, you just hate.
Ulysses at 89 is the youngest and the only one left of those 16 brothers and sisters. Is today a good day or a difficult day?
Difficult day.
Difficult day.
Yeah. It brought back old memory.
Because for 70 years he never knew what happened to his big brother until the Defense POW MIA accounting agency more closely looked at remains, repatriated to the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific in Hawaii, remains designated only as X13460. Burial records, witness accounts, and DNA would finally prove that R.B. Cherry, a 19-year-old kid from Texas, died in a prisoner of war camp in Korea all those years ago.
You can just relive the thing yourself inside of you, knowing, oh my God, he actually went through something as horrific as that, you know, and that's really painful to even consider and think about.
A lot of pain, a lot of heartache for my uncle, but, you know, I'm just glad that he's still here to be able to know that his brother's finally coming home.
Their story is one they wanted to share because from the Korean War alone, more than 7,000 families are still waiting for the same difficult answer on this same difficult kind of day.
Whether I knew him or not, he was still family. That was my dad's brother. And to not know, you know, what happens to your family is kind of hard.
It's hard at times, you know. It just, I don't know. I don't know.
So in these moments that happen dozens of times each year at DFW Airport, understand that there are families struggling with a mix of sadness, relief, and sometimes joy.
It was just beautiful, yeah, and my heart was just racing and so happy inside, but yet tears of joy, you know, that he made it home.
One more lost son, brother, and uncle found after a very long journey home. In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reece. Breckenridge in Stevens County is a solid 2.5-hour drive from Dallas. And 15 miles more, a small roadside cemetery, where, in a back corner under a scraggly juniper tree, a grave still without its permanent marker. Because the loss of Derek Hayes is still so very painful and new.
I have this from when me and my mom
But
rode.
in the bedroom of an 11-year-old girl in Hazlitt back in DFW.
This is my childhood cat, Gatsby. I know he's fabulous. Oh my God, chill.
Sophie Hayes asked for a chance to talk about him and the picture on her wall.
It's just special. It was from my elementary school dance.
Derek Hayes was her dad.
Well, I like it there because it reminds me of him. Feels like he's looking down on me.
And his death 7 months ago was all the more difficult for a young girl to understand because it was suicide.
Because I was pretty close to kind of lying, just flat out lying to her about it because it seemed like a easier thing easier talk to have.
A talk about depression, addictions, and mental illness. He was just 35 years old.
My main concern is just, you know, how how Sophie feels from one day to the next, and sometimes it's 1 minute to the next.
Happy some days, I'm sad some days are just like I'm not okay, you know?
So why then did I agree to talk about this with an 11-year-old girl?
Or something.
I'll let Sophie explain that part.
Why are you so brave to talk about this? Because you're pretty amazing to me right now.
I just want to spread awareness about it so that, like, maybe it will stop a couple kids from having to go through what I had to go through, you know?
Because while counseling has helped and the teddy bear made from one of her dad's shirts is nice, she says, she needed something more.
It's still really tough, especially around his birthday.
So on what would have been her dad's birthday, she started a fundraiser for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
We wanted to get, I think, to 360 because he was turning 36.
$360, now approaching $3,000.
Well, I kind of want to send the message that, like, there are ways to get better, there are ways to feel better. I just want there to be awareness and word to be spread.
So proud of her. I've always been really proud of her, but the way that she's been handling, you know, something that most people never have to go through is, I mean, yes, I'm proud of her every day.
Do you feel as brave as I think you are right now?
No.
No? Why not?
I just don't feel brave at all. Like, there's some days where I have no courage, and I guess it's getting me through this, knowing that maybe I can spread awareness, and even if that doesn't happen, I'm happy to have talked with you today.
Well, I'm going to call you brave. You're just going to have to deal with that. Okay?
Okay.
A brave girl who decided to take her heartbreak and turn it into healing for someone else.
I'm okay. I know I'm going to be okay. I just know that I have my family here, and I know I'm going to be all right.
And in her dad's memory, wants everyone else to know they can be all right too. In Hazlitt, I'm Kevin Reece.